Hi, people. I'm just adding an addition and also a correction of part 5. Please share it with me. Right, now if you look at this, what we did in part 5, I don't know where my thoughts were, but when I looked at my video afterwards, I realized I made a gross mistake, and I don't want you to make these mistakes. If you look at the double functional group here of an alkene, and where we have numbered it from 1 to 4, the reason why I started on the left-hand side is because of this added chain here. So it's closer to the left-hand side. That's why I did not start from the right-hand side. So you number it then 1, 2, 3, 4. And remember the rule we have to apply, that the functional group is always at the lowest number. Therefore, you cannot say it is at 1 and 4. This is terribly wrong, and I apologize. I do not want to confuse you. So it is then a 4 carbons. So yes, it is but or but. Then you've got an attachment on carbon 2. And we know the attachments, the added groups or the branches are part of the prefix. So it's 2-ethyl, but, 1 and 3 diene, because it's an alkene, double bond alkene. And we have to acknowledge the lowest number of the carbon, not 4. Right. If we started from this side, the numbers would have changed anyway. Then this would have been 1. But we cannot start from the right-hand side. We have to start from the left because of the branch here being closer to the left. So you have to understand this is the wrong way to write it, 1 and 4. And the right, correct way is then 2-ethyl, but, 1, 3 diene. I decided to add this addition because I also wanted to show you, because I spoke of it in the part 5, but I didn't show an example. Here's an example where the chain is not straight. It doesn't need to be in a straight line. You have to identify the longest chain, and it's not necessarily in a straight line. Example here is a aldehyde, because the functional group being CHO, HO. So this is an aldehyde, but there's 2 functional groups here. So this is then 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's pent, and it's got 2 aldehydes. And we know that the suffix of an aldehyde is L. So it is at number 1 and at number 5. Remember, the functional group is part of the carbon chain. So these carbons are also numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the other rule that I did not add in part 5 is when you've got a functional, double functional group, you do not remove the E, right? In the hydrocarbons, it's a different story, like we've done the examples. But this is not a hydrocarbon because it's got oxygen here. So it's got the O here, sorry, it's got the O here. So it's pentane. We do not remove the E at carbon 1 and at carbon 5. So it is pentane 1, 5 di for 2L, because of the fact that it's the suffix of an aldehyde. If there would have been only 1 functional group, then you remove the E. Then it's pentane, the E becomes L, pentanal. Right, so you need to understand that when you've got two functional groups that's not part of a carbo and hydrogen chain, then you do not remove the E. Then it's pentane 1,5-diol. That's just part of the rules of the IUPAC. They have got these rules, and one of the rules is then that you do not remove the E. Right, and remember, I apologize for this. This is then at carbon 1 and the lowest number carbon 3. So it's 2-ethyl but 1,3-diene, it being an alkene. So this is an example of a carbo and a hydrogen chain, hydrocarbon. This is an example. This is not an example, and it's got a double bond, a double functional group. Therefore, we do not remove the E here. Right. If there should have been one functional group, then we remove the E, and it's then pentanol. All right. Another example where we've got an alcohol. Right. So I just want to show you the difference. Remember, the aldehyde is CHO, and the alcohol is OH. So the suffix then being ol. So here we've got only 3 carbons. So we do not remove the E. So it's propane 1,3-ol. Whichever way, from the right to the left or from the left to the right, the numbering would have been the same. So it's propane, we do not remove the E, 1,3-diol. So remember, the suffix of the alcohol is ol, and the suffix of the aldehyde, HO, is al. So CHO-al. And because it's a double chain, we do not remove the E. Because it's not a double chain, because it's a double functional group, we do not remove the E. Here we remove the E because there's only one functional group. And remember, if you ever get a double functional group with any of the hydrocarbons, then you go, the second one has to get the lowest carbon number. So always start from one side, whichever side you start then, closest to the functional group. The second one will be the lowest number, So it's not 4 here, it is 3. And here we've got the aldehyde, 2 aldehydes. So it's di, and the suffix is L. Here we've only got pentanol. Remember, it's always at the terminal sites. Here we've only got one pentanol, so therefore it's pentan 1L, but we also write it as pentanol, and you remove the E. Here you do not remove the E. And then the example of 2 alcohols, it's diol, the suffix being ol, do not remove the E. So I just added here the rules that I didn't do in part 1. And I showed you one example where it's not a straight line. There are many examples where there's not, where the carbon chain doesn't form a straight line. And here I've just corrected the error in part 5. So yes, go through your work and you'll see you'll do very well. Thank you for sharing this with me.